Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cat's Agenda. I am welcoming Amy Malave, also known as Spiritualized Warrior, here on our show today. So, introduce yourself, Amy, and let us know all about you and what you do.
Yes, so my name is Amy Malave, and I do a lot of beautiful things. So my name is Spiritualized Warrior. My business name is Spiritualized Warrior, though when Katrina met me, it was Reiki by Amy. But I
Yes.
have since, with my journey and all of my healing and everything I've done, I have since changed it to offer like a higher, like broadband of what I do, which is to bring love and comfort to others in their time of need, in their journey, in helping women find their truth and their purpose. And I've been on this journey for now, whoa, going on 11 years, believe it or not. So I am a Reiki master. I was a Reiki master when Katrina met me, she met me at the beginning of my journey, which I had just started. And she is so sweet that I was able to practice on her. And I don't think it was
I
practice that,
I was a guinea pig.
yeah, you were the guinea pig. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, she was my guinea pig. And the beauty of that was that she allowed me to be part of her journey, which I thank you so much because it meant the world to me, especially where I was at and what I was going through, and like being able to bring this to other people. So I initially got into Reiki because I lost my eldest child, and Reiki was introduced from to me. I didn't know anything about it. I was somewhere and somebody told me you should do Reiki. At that point, I was like, Reiki, I don't even know what it is. It sounds weird. Like a rake. I thought about a rake. Like, I don't know, like raking leaves. Like it was very all new to me. But I remember being open because I was so lost on my grief journey that I was like, what can I lose, right? And I was blessed with such a beautiful like healing gift. And I remember the coat of grief just like lifting from me. And I didn't know what it was. And I didn't know what it entailed, but I knew I wanted more. I wanted more of it. I just wanted more. And it took me about a year to research it. And then I actually went for my first class and loved it because it just did more for me. And then I did my second, and then I did my third. So I did my master's, and I've been practicing for about 10 years. But it definitely helped me on my like grief journey. It literally took that coat of heaviness off. It allowed me to have somewhat of a normal life where I could kind of like, because I got rid of the coat, I was able to start my life journey again. Because when you lose a child, it's like you're stuck in two worlds. And I think Reiki was able to bring those two worlds to me. And it allowed me also to get closer to God, where at one point I can honestly say that I was angry. Because I've always been a girl of God. Was born and raised with God in my life. My grandmother used to take me to church. My sister took me to church, and he had got me through so many things, and I was a follower, right, in the sense. And then this happened to me, and I had a lot of questions and anger, and I felt lost and all these things. And I was born and raised Catholic, and I went back to church, but it wasn't filling my soul. And I think Reiki just opened up that door of forgiveness that I wasn't so angry. And it opened me up to getting closer to him, even though that's such a controversial subject, because if you are a Christian, it's like, you know, um, I think the stigma behind it is that you cannot practice Reiki. And I know what it did to me in my life, so I can't negate it because it was part of my journey. And I learned that, and that's why I changed my name from Reiki by Amy to Spiritualized Warrior, because, the Reiki by Amy just kept me very in
Hold
alignment.
up. We have a
I
problem.
saw that, but I didn't want to.
All right. So
Um,
go ahead.
So that's part of, with the controversial topic of like Reiki and God, and if you are a believer of Reiki, they some Christians say it's a practice of the devil, which I beg to
I've never heard
disagree.
that.
I
I've never
oh
heard that.
I
Really?
came across it very recently because people know who I am now, and then where amongst other Christians, it was just a question that was like, yeah, you shouldn't be practicing Reiki as a Christian. But what I did realize, and why I changed my name from Reiki by Amy to Spiritualized Warrior, is that what I noticed that I've always had, and we talk about purpose, right? And the beauty of Reiki is that Reiki brings us back to purpose. So it sheds the onion, right? It sheds all our veils, our layers to bring us back why we came here. What was what was the assignment that we chose long ago that somehow we chose it, but sometimes I'm like, I chose my life? Like, how? But I did. I chose this assignment. And so Reiki takes off the layers to remind us of our light. And what I did notice that when being a Christian and loving God the way I do, I wasn't using the traditions of Reiki the way I was taught, per se, which Reiki has a lot of symbols and there's a lot of things that get incorporated to that. But what I was able to discover on my journey was that when I hugged people and when I spoke to people and when I just held space for them, that my words were important, that my energy through a hug was important, and that my touch was important. And because I had that concoction, I knew that God was present in my work. And when I have any one of my clients, I don't necessarily use the Reiki practices, but I pray over them. Like, God, why did you allow them to come into my space? Why did you bring them to me? Like, empty me of me and fill me with your spirit so I can help your child in whichever
Mm.
way, that is. And so I'm a giver. I call myself a giver of love, and however that shows up, whether it's through Reiki, right? Through hands-on healing, or whether it's through a listening ear, or whether it's through a hug, or whether it's through now moving to Florida. In order for me to do hands-on healing, I had to become a massage therapist. So I needed a license to touch. Um, and even in my massage is just making that person feel loved. I love to help that inner child. I know I went through a lot of trauma growing up. I had goods and I had things that I carried that I didn't know I carried. Some were generational, some were present. And the the introduction of Reiki helped me navigate those paths, and I was able to explore new modalities of healing the human temple, which I've always been curious how we could heal the body by itself without outer sources. The same way God gives gifts to doctors and nurses, and we all have different roles in life. But my curiosity was how to heal the body with the body. And so here we are.
And I can say that you definitely are
Mhm.
gifted because I mean, we've known each other now for what, maybe 13 years? I
Yeah,
mean, it's
it's
been
been a
that
long
long.
it's
It's
been
been a
a long
long time.
time.
I mean, we obviously, have our own lives. I mean, we met many years ago. I was in a relationship and, I wasn't in the best place. I think, again, everybody has a reason for, like, God always
Mm.
puts people in your path for a reason. So I remember being in a very dark place. I mean, I was still finding myself. I'm still, we go through that journey of finding yourself and who we are and what your purpose is. And, I went through a time where I didn't know what was wrong with me. I think, again, the relationship that I was in, the things that I've gone through in life, all of that was taking an impact on me. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if I was physically sick. I didn't know if I was what it is that I was feeling. And I remember you were like, come try this, come, do this Reiki. And I remember going, I had pain in my arms, I had pain in my back. And I had all this kind of feelings that I didn't know where they were. I went to the doctor and they were like, "You're fine. Like nothing's wrong with you." And it's like, it's anxiety. I'm like, anxiety? Like, yeah, I have anxiety. And again, sometimes things in life make you carry a lot and you hold it in and nobody knows what's going on and you just suppress it, right? And I remember you telling me like, "Come over, I'm gonna do some healing on you." And you had like your little massage bed and in your
Uh-huh.
house, your little candle setting. And it was like my little getaway. So I went to you, I remember, and I don't know what happened. I wound up falling asleep and the pain that I felt was gone. Like it
Mm.
was like I felt like a weight lifted off of me, which was something that I couldn't describe. Like, and this is before, I started going, I started going to church because of you, actually, because I mean, I was brought up in the church as not brought up in the church, sorry. My grandmother used to take me to church. Our grandparents would take us and plant those seeds. You're coming to church on
Right.
Sunday. And I remember you telling me, "Come to this church." So all of that, I feel like found like it all plugged together, right? And then
Mm.
you were like, besides what going through our spiritual journey, it was also now the part of a healing that I didn't even know I need healing for. Like I didn't even know what was wrong. Like I'm fine. Doctor says I'm fine. Like whatever. And then I go experience this, and I'm like, oh my God, like what did you do? Do you have like magic hands or something? And that was the beginning. So I could imagine like, and years later, um, I actually left that relationship and I remember going to you in between the turmoil. I don't want to be too specific, but between what I was going through, I remember you had told me like you put your hands on me, you prayed and you
Mm.
you had told me, I remember vaguely that you were like, there's like a different path for you. There's a different path.
Mm.
And I didn't understand it at the time. I was just like, it was heartbreaking, but also like at the same time, like giving me that, like, I guess God spoke through you as well,
Mm.
like through the process and kind of prepared me for what was next, because I had no idea where I was going, what was next for me. And and yeah, so after that, like I think we reconnected like maybe a few months
Yeah.
later after my situation, and I
Mhm.
moved on and I left a pretty toxic relationship. And we I remember you had told me we can do a long distance because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, we don't have time. And you were like, we could do a long distance. And you were like, we could do it on the phone. If you fall asleep, don't worry. I got
Mhm.
you. Like, just let me know, whatever, how it goes. And I remember
Mhm.
us literally, we did a phone Reiki session, and I knocked out. I knocked out, and I had so many unanswered questions when I went to sleep that day. And it was like so much hurt, so many things that I was carrying. And I was able to like during that time where I was subconsciously still awake, but my body was sleeping. So it's like the vision that I saw during the time that you were doing your Reiki on me, or whatever you want to call it, your healing that you've done. Um, I was able to get the closure that I needed.
Mhm.
As heavy and as hard as it was so like I went through a lot, like leaving everything behind and starting from new, like leaving everything that was familiar for 10 years of my life and what my kids knew and everything. And just being able to like experience that, I woke up crying. I remember waking
Mm.
up crying and like visualizing, like God showed me what I needed to do. And it was to let go.
Mm.
And like literally the vision, everything. I'll be graphic. I saw myself. I was supposed to get married on a beach, right? That was my dream, like get married on a beach. And so God showed me the vision of me walking hand in hand with the person that I was supposed to marry, right? And then I let go of the hand and had to keep walking by
Mm.
myself. I was walking by myself, and all I did was I woke up like literally crying, crying. And I think I fell asleep because I don't remember. And then the next day I talked to you and I'm like, what happened? I felt so real, And it was just like, but I got the closure that I needed because
Mm,
I think like holding on to things sometimes, and I went through my anger moments and all that stuff, but then I learned to like forgive, like I
mm,
learned to like just let go, like God wants you to move on. There's something else for you. And, it, through that day, like through that process, I was able to have that weight lifted off of me,
mm.
so you're gonna make me emotional. But yeah, it was a really amazing experience. And you weren't even hands on me physically, you know what I mean? So that's some powerful stuff. And it's again, I think you also have to be spiritually
Mm.
open to receiving what God has to say through your healing process. So I'm not going to talk about me anymore, but let's talk about more about like how you, yeah, we know how you got into this. We know like it's definitely a calling because I'm a witness and I don't BS anybody. Like I'm gonna tell
Right.
you how it is. If it's fake, it's fake. I'm like, nah, but
It's not for me. It's
this
not for me. It's
this
not for all.
this
So yeah, so let me touch on a couple of things that you mentioned. So, let's talk about long distance. A lot of people don't understand that, right? So when you do your Reiki, when you get certified, there's three levels to it. So the first level is to practice on yourself and family members, and that's when Katrina came in. She was my guinea pig in my first certification. And then the long distance came in when I did my second certification, which is long distance. So how does that work? People question that all the time, like, how is it that you're there and I'm here, but you can give me healing? And I will just explain this. Like when you pray for someone that's not near you, that's long distance. When you think about somebody and it's like, hey, oh my God, you called me and I was just thinking about you. That is energy. That is connection that we don't see, but we feel when you're
right,
open. That you're like, oh my God, I literally was just talking about you and you reached out to me. And so that's where long distance come in. It just means when two souls are in agreement that one is giving and one is receiving, that's all it takes. And why did you fall asleep? Well, that's what's so intriguing about our body. And this is what I say, like, our body is a beautiful robot. And so a lot of times why we fall asleep, it's literally our body's way of taking our ego out, all the questions and all the earthly things, and letting our body recover. So most of the times when people go into a Reiki session, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 minutes later, I hear, and they're trying to wake themselves up. And I always tell my clients, please don't, because that is a natural defense mechanism of our body knowing what it needs to heal, but it's telling you, you know what, Katrina, I cannot have, like, we need to take Katrina out and I need to work. So
right.
that's what's so amazing about long distance. And I know a lot of people are skeptical about it, but I'm gonna tell you, like, I had a lot of on hand, like hands-on experiences. And when my business boomed and my business went crazy was through COVID, where there was no human connection, there was no human
Mm,
contact. We were stuck in our apartments. People were getting depressed. People were like going through it. And I can't tell you how many souls that I had sessions with. Like I literally would put my kids to bed at 8 and at 9 o'clock from 9 to 11, I was doing sessions like back to back. And I can't tell you how it was like I tapped into my own spiritual gifts because now I don't have you in front of me. I don't know what you look like. I don't know what you sound like.
right,
I usually say like before the healing, I don't want to know anything about you because what you tell me, I don't want it to interfere with my gift. Right? So what is
right.
my gift? My gift, and every healer is different. Some people are prophets, right? Some people are prophets and they can tell you. My gift is that I hear. I'm auditory and I'm visual in the sense that I see colors. And I can't tell you like how many times I had a session where a person didn't not believe, they knew that they were coming into the session, but they were so anxious about it. I could literally see that through color. I can see them like being uncomfortable, and then all of a sudden I could see where their body's taking them out, and then I just saw like colors, and I could actually see the colors as they're breathing, and they're like, Amy, I fell asleep at the beginning. I was so anxious, but then I fell asleep. I was like, I saw that, I felt that, right? So when you
Right.
first go, for me as a healer, when I first go into the session, like you were asking before, like what do I feel? I don't feel anything negative, but I'm able to be in tuned with my instrument where I can see the person calm down. I can see where they're at peace. I can see the different areas as I work on them, whether it's on a whole or like if you're in front of me, I can see where your body's open and it needs help. And I'm the type of person that I literally pray about all my clients. I am not chasing money. I know God will bring me that. So I always
Amen.
pray for the people that need help, that need love, that need whatever they need through what He gave me, which is the gift of my hands or the gift of just being able to be that, to hold space for somebody. Like, I think I've always been that person, whether,
Right.
growing up, I used to hold my dad's hand, and he'll be like, "Oh my God, your hands are so hot. I can't hold my pinky." And I would walk around the block like holding his pinky because our palms would sweat. And I remember like going into college, and I'm taking a degree that I absolutely did not like, but it was like accounting, like finance, like business science, whatever it was. And I remember like doing an internship where the lady I was working for, she fell, and I was like so concerned. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you know." And I went and I was like, "Oh, is there a first aid kit?" And I remember like cleaning her knee, and she was like, "Oh my God." Like, I know I shouldn't be telling you this because you're like interning, like you're almost graduating, but have you ever thought about becoming a nurse? Because like you have the most like gentlest touch. And it was like, "Well, thank you, but no, not nursing. Like I don't do number. Like that schooling to me is like I never really liked school." And so I remember that. And then like I went on to EMS prior, to having my daughter. I went on to EMS. I worked for the fire department, and I loved my job. I actually was in my 20s, so I actually liked the adrenaline rush and everything I came across. I don't think I can handle it now because I've experienced different things, but I enjoyed that part of that career, just being able to be of service to other people. And believe it or not, sometimes we would get calls, and it was just I had one young girl that would just call only when I was working just to talk to me. And then I would have to call the doctor to check her out, to let them know she was okay, because that's the only way we could dismiss a patient that we had patient contact with. And that's all it was. She was like, "I just like talking to you. Like, I really
Wow.
just like talking to you." And so to me, thinking about like all those experiences, I love that. I love who I am. Like I've loved who I've become. And I've loved all of my journey. Definitely losing my first kid wasn't it wasn't easy. It was something I had to navigate many darknesses. Being an alcoholic, turning to drugs for a while, just smoking weed because it just kind of like escape. It was like an escape, calm my nerves type thing. Becoming an alcoholic, when I say that, is that there were nights that if my son would have woke up, I probably wouldn't have been available. And that was a big part of my journey that not that I wasn't proud of, like, but it was part of my journey.
Yeah, it was part of your
It's
journey
part of my
regardless.
journey, and
Right.
and it was a learning process for me. And what did I want for myself? I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't, I wasn't proud of who I was, and I knew that. And I knew that. So and that was very early on, like definitely after Isabel passed. I didn't go back to the fire department because I was like, you know what, if I get a call that mimicked her because it was a freak accident. I was like, I don't think I could be able to perform. And is that right to my partner? Is that right to the patient? So I gave that up
Right.
and believe that was hard within itself because you work so hard. You go through the academy, it's not an easy job. I was proud of it, but God had a different journey for me. And when I was
Yeah.
able to let that go, and as businesswomen, I think we could relate that sometimes we are so scared to take that leap of being free from working on to anybody. And so that to me it was a leap, like to leave that career. That was like my first, like, I'm quitting. And I remember like sitting there crying and like, this is all I ever wanted, this was safety to me. I had benefits, I had
Right.
this, I had that. And letting that go was hard, but then what God had for me was my journey. He
Right.
introduced me to Reiki and being curious about it. And then I worked at a school, an all-girls school where I graduated from in the Bronx. And that journey came not by accident, of course, right? Because there's no coincidence. But my friend was like, listen, I know you have your little baby because I was 5 months pregnant when I lost Isabel. Then Pat was born, and she was like, you can't be sitting home, like doing all like you need to do something. And she was like, I have a job for you. And I always suffered from not being confident and looking at myself less than. And I was like, I can't do that job. There's no way. She was like, she read me the description. I was like, there's no way. And then she was like, well, I already put your name in. Just send me your resume. Or if not, I'll do the resume for it. Like, just send it to me. And I was like,
What?
oh my God. All right. So I'm in my mom's house upstate. I'm not even home. Send her the resume. I have an interview like either the next day or like that Monday. And it was very quick. They ended up hiring me. I ended up staying in this job for 12 years. And
I
then
remember you worked there. Yeah, I
yes, and
remember
then
like yeah.
that was an even bigger part of my journey because the boss that I worked with, oh my God, when I talk about she was a blessing in disguise, like she was just the frick to my frack, and she was just amazing in so many ways. And she was part of like when I was down, when I was out. She saw my bad days, she saw my good days and my marriage and and all of that, stuff. And one day she came up to me and she was like, have you ever heard about Reiki? And I'm like, wait, she's been looking in my computer. How does she know? And that was like when I was thinking about like, should I take a class? Should I explore it more? And she was like, I said, I had it done to me and oh my God, it helped me out so much. She was like, oh, by the way, there's an alum that graduated with me that's doing a workshop like this weekend, and it ended up being around Isabel's like birthday. And I was like, what? Okay, I'm gonna do it. And so it was her confirmation that led me into, going forward with it. And she was part of my journey because if it wasn't for her confirmation, it was like, and if she wouldn't, like, she looked it up, she set it up, she was like, well, this is what you have to do. And I was like, all right, this is meant for me to do. And I did it, and it I did it while working at the school, but then I started like a little empowerment group at the school, and then I took
Remember.
yoga. I did
It was
yoga because
it was Isabel's empowering.
it was Isabel's Empowering Queens.
Yes.
That's how we started, but then I changed that because everybody thought we were from Queens, though I'm from the Bronx.
I'm
I
from
don't
Queens.
mind you Queens gals. I don't mind you Queens gals. But
I,
it was like, no, it's not from Queens. It's like Queen, like Crowns, like Queens.
yeah.
And so I sat with it, and that was another door God opened. I changed the name but didn't proceed because then COVID happened, but it became Isabel's movement. And I still keep that near and dear to my heart because this is a movement. What we're doing here, what we're speaking about here in this space. And I thank you for the opportunity to share my story and our story. It's a movement. And
Yes.
we are in those times. We are in those times, and that's why I call myself spiritualized warrior because I know where I came from. I know who I am and I know where I'm going. And I know I
Amen.
love every part of my journey. And I know that women, especially women, powerful women, are rising in our times right now, and our voices need to be heard and we need to be
Right.
seen. So, having this opportunity of letting our voices shine, but not only that, to be seen, like me and you, from different areas of the United States right now is a beauty, because that's who we are, and that's women need to know they're not alone.
Right.
And sometimes success, right?
Goosebumps.
Yeah, where we are right
Exactly.
now, it
Mm.
doesn't mean we had an easy journey, but it means that we fought and we overcame. And somewhere along the line, we seeked healing that empowered us to love ourselves enough to shine.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
that's important to me. Like, I had a hurt inner child. I had to work on that little girl hardcore, and I did it in Florida, by the way, in front of my children. Um, Went to massage therapy school. We moved from New York in July. In August, I was in school, finished school, graduated, went to take my boards. I failed my boards and had to come back home and tell my family I did. That wasn't easy.
Part of
I
the
have
process.
Yeah, I have four kids that were waiting to celebrate, and I had to walk in and be like, I failed. But then I was also able to teach them that failure was not bad, because I ended up passing.
Just a
And
stepping stone.
absolutely. So this space that you created, like, God's blessings, because this is what the world needs. We're not in competition. We are here to rise as
Right.
individuals.
Right.
Doesn't matter. We were talking about it. Listen, we could have five real estate agents. We could have five Reiki practitioners or masters or whatever. We can have XYZ of plenty of things, but we all bring something different to the table. We are all
Yes.
gifted. We are not duplicated, right? There's no
Yeah.
Katrina and there's no Amy. And the experiences that Katrina has as a realist that she's experienced, and then God will bring her people that she could connect with,
Relate.
puzzle pieces.
Mhm.
We're all different, so there's no
Right.
battling there. It's just bringing God's gift together in love and in peace, and that's what the world needs more of, right? Love.
Right.
Like, so something I want to share is that my grandmother lost her husband and her son. And so growing up with my grandmother in the house, I asked many questions about losing a child. It was almost like it was crazy. But
Mm.
my grandmother had gave me a lot of insight of her dark side and what she felt as a bereaved mother. So I used a lot of those jewels when I went through mine, not knowing that all the questions I was asking after she passed I would need, but I asked them at the right time, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
know. And there was a song that she sang every time, and it was like, Amor es el pan de la vida, amor es la copa divina. So love is the bread of life, love is the divine cup of life. And I don't think it didn't click to me till the other day that I was like, wow, that's that's the key to life. It's love and forgiveness. And it doesn't matter who you encounter, but if you could be like Tinkerbell and just spread love, we could raise the vibration of the earth
Right.
and the
Right.
beauty of it. And there's no boxes. We diminish those boxes because we are God's children, and under God we are one. So
Right.
it's just like,
I think that's such a good like point because I think we all like a lot of people limit themselves to what their belief system is. Like I was raised this way. I can't, I'm not capable of, coming out of this box, and then, you go through life and either you become bitter or you get better. So for me
I
was
like
always
that. I
like,
like that.
and trust me, I could have been a bitter B.
Mm. Mm,
But,
yeah.
like I moved in my life, everything that I've gone through personally, and I know I can't compare my life to yours because I know you went through so much and to see you where you are now and to see your family,
Mhm.
like I said, it gives me joy because I know how much you've been through. I
Mm.
know, you lost your baby girl and now you have another baby girl, and it's just like it's just and she's a split image of she looks a lot like
Yeah.
your other daughter, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
just to be able to sit here and know that I've had the privilege of experience you as a
Mm-hmm.
friend and experience you on the other side of healing of the pain that you've
Mm-hmm.
gone through and the pain that everybody goes through different kinds of pains in life. Loss is loss, whether it's a child, a relationship, can't compare, but grieving is grieving, right? So everybody grieves differently. And just being able to have that ability to like be a part of somebody's healing journey, that's an amazing gift. And I'm so grateful that I was able to experience that because, like I said, it's either we can carry all this weight that is not ours because we
Or
go
we
through
can take
things in
it off.
life, right? And it's like God gives us things that we have to go through in life to learn, right? If we some learn young, some learn older, some year learn we learn at different paces. And I learned late, unfortunately, in life to
Never
be
late,
able,
always on time.
right, right. You told me that. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be late today. You're like, don't worry, it's God's timing.
Always on time. Don't matter what
Right.
we go through. It's always on time.
And I'm still learning that. I'm still learning that to be patient. And like I said, it's all
Mm.
every phase of our life is definitely like a growing process. If you're not growing, then you have to figure out what's going to be next for you because growth is part of our journey. So, and I think healing again and not becoming bitter, just seeking the outlets.
Mm.
For me personally, I love therapy. I like therapy. Before I was like, I'm
Mm.
not talking to a therapist. Now I look forward to talking to my therapist. I remember telling my sister,
So,
I'm like, I don't I don't need therapy. I'm not going to talk to a therapist, like whatever. And again, it's part of the healing process. So find what works for
mm.
you. And you went through an extreme loss, and I mean, I've gone through many losses different ways, but I think the beauty in it is that there's an outlet for healing. God first, but there's also, other outlets to be able to help us through our journey in life. So we only have a few minutes left. Anything else you
Yes,
want to talk
and it's
about?
so we could talk for hours. And you touch on such a good point. We all have the same 24 hours. You can become bitter or better. And what does bitterness leave us, right? With resentment, you become bitter, then you need vices, right? You need weed and alcohol, and because you're never better. And
Right.
for me, I knew I didn't want to go down those paths. So to me, my better was seeking things. And when I say things was since I'm like a little hippie for like how can I heal my body with my
Always.
body? So like I love acupuncture, right? Because acupuncture takes care of your meridian system. I loved yoga because and that's a whole other we could go into a whole other topic, right?
I love
About
that.
yoga and Jesus, right? So, okay, when I say yoga, it's because that's how the world sees it. But when I do yoga in my Jesus mind, what I do is I could take a shower and I'm like, oh, my shoulders feel tight. Let me just breathe into it. How I was taught. You feel an ache? Well, breathe it out, right? You feel achy, breathe it out. And so, no, I'm not, the intention is not the intention of yoga. So what do we call it, right? Because if I practice it with God, like I feel pain here and I'm just going to breathe it out, then I'm not really practicing yoga because yoga is related to the seven gods or whatever it is, right? I'm not chanting, right? So how do we maybe that could be another maybe that could be another podcast. Like the ones that have gifts, how can we call it something different than how the world sees it, right?
Right.
Because if yoga is good for you, if you use the breath of God, right, the breath of life to take discomfort out of your body without worshiping the yoga gods, then what do I call it?
Right.
If you're in front of me and I want to pray over you and lay my super warm hands over your body, but I'm not using the symbols of Reiki, what do you call me? Right? So
Right.
it's kind of like undoing the controversial topics of what's out there because at the end of the day, God gave us this human temple. And there are a lot of beautiful things out there to take care of it naturally because
Right.
our temple is like a house. You need a plumber, You need an electrician. You need a lot of things, right?
You
Or
need
like
all
a
the plugs.
you need all the
All the
plugs.
plugs.
Well, our body's the same way, right? So if you go to the gym, you work on your muscles. If you go to yoga, then you're stretching. So you're taking your emotions out of your body, right? People with hip
Right.
problems, guess what? Your emotions are in there. Stretch them out. They'll come out. They came out for me. If you go to an acupuncturist, it's taking care of your meridian system. So every part of our body needs just a holistic attendant, but we don't know
Right.
about that world.
Well, we're going to teach the world a little bit more about that in our future
Yeah.
episodes, right? Because we're
Yes,
running out
I
of
love it.
time.
I
We're running
love
out of
it.
time. We can talk for hours. I always enjoy speaking to you.
Oh my
I
God.
think you're so gifted and blessed and
Um,
just a true testimony of like what we are capable of. Because again, like if we limit ourselves and keep ourselves in that box
bitter.
of bitterness of shame, because sometimes we have
Mm,
shame, like,
yeah.
I can't go to church because I'm a sinner. I can't do this. I can't because whatever, like what society has drawn for everybody, but coming out of that box and being able to say, you know what, we're here, we're gonna utilize what God gave us, our gifts, and keep going. So how can everybody find you? Let's because we're gonna run out of time and I don't want to be cut off.
No, no, no. We don't want to run out of time. So I'm a very personable business person. If I don't even call myself a business person because I always say I end up being friends with all my clients and then I'm like, that's why I don't make no money. Because everybody just becomes my friends. And I'm like, hey,
I know.
so on IG, you can find me on Spiritualized Warrior. Under Facebook, I'm just Amy Malave Dodwell. And those are the two really platforms I use for right now because I'm very old school. Or you could just hit me up on a simple call or message, which the number is 718 Bronx, 514-3849. You can shoot me a text. I'm very personable. I will answer you back. You can literally hit me up whenever. There are no business hours for me, and I truly mean that because if our souls connected for any reason, I believe that's no coincidence. But yeah, you can follow me on those two platforms and the IG is Spiritualized Warrior. And then, on Facebook, I'm just little old me. I'm just Amy Malave Dodwell.
Or hit
So
me
if
up
you,
and I get you in contact with her.
right, or hit Katrina up.
Yeah.
If you guys, I will offer a discount if you guys do want to experience a long distance. Session, just mention Katrina and I will hook you up. Because I believe that everybody can benefit from such a
Ah, yes.
beautiful healing session, right?
Yes.
And so just mention Katrina and I'll give you a little sliding scale or just talk to me. Like, listen, I wasn't always rich to pay for my healings. I really wasn't. I did some trading and bartering, like, and so talk to me. Just let me
She'll work.
know.
She'll work.
Let
She'll work with you.
yeah,
But yeah.
just give me your gift and I'll give you mine. Like, or if your pockets are looking decent, then, but please don't shy away from not receiving because whatever's not right. If you feel in alignment to receive, especially at these moments where the warriors are coming to light and we need each other, that to me matters than anything in the world. It's let's collaborate, let's talk. You have questions about any part of my life, I am an open book. I'm an open book. I don't sugarcoat my life. My marriage is 25 years, but it's been ups and downs and like downs and then ups and then like let's and that's what I was going to tell you, rewiring. Where our life is about rewiring
Right.
everything, right? Society told us we needed. And I think right now in the times that we're in, we are rewiring and it's not easy. It's not for the weak.
Right.
It's not for the weak at all. I can tell you because I'm still rewiring. Even in
Same.
my career of healing 10 years later, I will still tell you that still struggle with rewiring. But guess what? There's no better beauty than to step out that box.
Right.
Like, I can't
I
tell you
agree.
enough, right?
I
Step
agree.
out
I
the
think that
box.
the work is never done. We think
It's
we do
never
a
done.
little, you know,
We'll be
like we
working till the day we die. But the point is to do the work when it comes up. Do not try to take no shortcuts. Work is not for the weak because as a healer, I have sat down and got quiet for 3 months. I am not, if you're looking for that healer that posts every day, I'm not the one. Don't follow
right,
me because you're not going to find that in me. I post when it's authentic to me, when I feel it, when I have something to share with you that's a jewel. But I'm not
right,
going to serve you empty comments because the box tells me you got to post so the algorithm, listen, you're going to catch my message when you catch my message, whether it's
right,
3 years later, 2 years later, or the minute I post. So if you're
right.
looking for that person that posts every day and you want to, you're not going to get that from me. You're not going to
Same.
get my personal life because my personal life is my personal life. I will share if you ask how I got through things, but that's my haven. That's that I call them my wolf pack. I'm that wolf mama. I keep my stuff very like sanctuary, right? That's like my little piece, you know? But
Right.
definitely, like I share a lot on Facebook. I do less of Instagram, but on Facebook, I definitely put my heart and soul on. When I'm in there and when I'm out there, I'm giving you everything. I'm giving you when
Wow.
I put my kids to sleep at 8, 9, and I'm in my office and I'm just texting away, and now you have a piece. But I don't just post to post. I post
Right.
when I feel it. So know that everything you read and everything I put out there is very
Genuine.
genuine and in alignment. That's my
Yeah.
belief. Alignment and just trying to get women together. I definitely, Isabel's movement has always been about girls because before I had my daughter, I said I would adopt the daughters of the school I worked in, and that's how it started. And so I have a huge heart for women and I have a huge heart for teens. I also do work with teens on a healing.
The prom dress
The
drives
prom
and all the
dress
things
drive, it
you've
was
done.
five
Yeah.
years successful, and I got covered by News 12. So if you want to go look up Isabel's Empowering Queens, News 12, I think it was like prom dresses or whatever, you will see me there. You will see me there, like genuinely,
Wow.
like, and that started crazy. I had a heart for a girl that used to pay for her tuition. She wasn't going to prom, and I was like, "How can I help you?" And that's how that all started. But
Wow.
I'm just the most genuinest person you could ever meet. Like, I just don't sugarcoat things. And that also comes when you ask me things about yourself. Sometimes I'm going to tell you things you're not ready to listen. Maybe one day down the road, they might, click, but I'm not here to feed you BS. I'm not here
But
to tell you.
and even I'm sorry to interrupt you, but even to your friends, because I remember years ago I had asked you something and you were like, that doesn't matter. At the time I had asked you, I was like in my mind and I had asked you a question, you were like, that doesn't matter. And I didn't understand why you told me it didn't matter at the time. And I was like, now like after my healing,
Like, what the
after
heck?
and then I understood why you said it didn't matter. So it's
Yeah,
sometimes you need that person to ground you to
yeah.
tell you, you know what,
No,
that doesn't
I don't
matter or
sugarcoat. No, I
yeah.
don't sugarcoat. I have had friends that have asked me, like, you read people really well. What do you think about XYZ? And that's my blessing and my curse. I could go into a room, I could read the room, I could read your personality and I can tell you, listen, this is what this person is about, and you're not gonna want to hear it. I have friends that literally will be like, well, what do you think? And I'd be like, guess what? What you think is not what I'm about to tell you, you don't want to hear, but this is what I'm going to tell you, and it's up to you to
Right.
discover. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't sugarcoat. I'm authentic. I love what I do. I love helping people. I love helping women. I love helping women in business. I like to get us exposed. I believe we could move the world. Because I think the power of the woman has been lost in our society. And so if all that vibes for you, just hit me up.
Yes, yes. All right, guys. So we're gonna leave, even though I hate to we can go on, but we will definitely connect again soon. So if
Yeah,
you or anybody that you know would like to be a guest on our podcast, please hit me up at catsagendapodcast@gmail.com or on my social platforms. I love to share stories. This is the reason why I started this podcast through my journey and through the experiences of others. I want to be able to share that with the world. And, one person at a time, one podcast at a time. We don't know who we could touch, who we can help. So, yeah.
right.
So, and we'll talk offline.
Yes, we will. I might just call you in like 5 minutes.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Bye,
Sounds good.
guys. Until next
Bye.
time.
It was nice meeting you guys.